the Rape Gang Inquiry Report is released by rupertlowe on the 16th of June, so about a month ago now. I don't know if it's just on Twitter he releases it, but I see it on Twitter. Like I said, it's just massive. It does 50 million plus views, 100,000 plus likes, if not more. And people are saying it's groundbreaking, it's massive. rupertlowe goes and gives a copy to each and every member of parliament, and they read it, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, right? And it's been a month now. It's been a whole month. And I haven't saw one person, not even one person, okay, pick apart the report about the fact that it's not even a government report. It's not an official report, should I say. It's not a government report. It's not a statutory report. It has no legal backing, no government backing, nothing. It's crowdfunded, okay? No oversight. There's no checks, nothing, okay? But apart from that, because, you know, it's still, something can still be true if it hasn't been looked at by a third party. But even negating that, push that to the side. There is a number that people are throwing around, 250,000 number, which relates to 250,000 white girls being victims of South Asian, particularly Pakistani, grooming gangs. Okay? That's the claim. It turns out this claim is completely and utterly bogus. It's completely baseless. It's completely, just completely false, riddled with falsehood. Why? I'm going to tell you exactly why. You'd think 250,000, they've got 250,000 victims who have come forward, or they can count 250,000 victims. No, that's not it whatsoever. The actual number is about 3,000. But what they've done is they've looked at 3 areas, like hotspots, if you like. Telford, Rotherham, and Oxford. So they've looked at those 3 areas, and they've got about 1,000 each, more or less, victims of, not even grooming gangs, by the way. These are coming from like separate, these aren't victims coming forward specifically for this report. These are separate CSE reports, child sexual exploitation reports. So they've took the data from those CSE reports, which are about 1,000 each area, more or less. And what they do is they times it by the population size for each area. So they come out with 3 numbers, which are massively inflated because they've times it by the 70 million population size in the UK. And they've gone and, because of that, got 3 individual numbers, a slightly smaller one, sort of middle one, and then a larger one. And they took the midpoint between the smaller one and the large one, and they've got the 250,000. So this 250,000 number is not 250,000 victims, right? It's not an official number. It's a fake number. It's a fabricated number. They took a midpoint, okay? They've took 3 hotspots, which are hotspots, and they've applied it to the entirety of the UK. They're called hotspots for a reason. You don't look at the 3 most crime-ridden places in the UK and then apply that to the entirety of the UK. Then the whole UK is committing crime, which is obviously not the case. So it's completely bogus. It's completely baseless. And in fact, it's worse. Because like I said, right? Like I said, these are child sexual exploitation cases. These are not rape gang cases, right? These are CSE cases. And even more so, what's even more important here is that these aren't specifically South Asian. That 250,000 number is not just South Asian or Pakistani or Muslim, whatever you want to call it. No, it's just everyone. And the worst part, if it is everyone, which it is, because if you look at those CSE reports, there's nothing to do with ethnicity or anything. It's just the entirety of CSE cases in that town or city. CSE cases in that town or city, but there's no it's everyone. It doesn't separate ethnicity. Okay, so if we understand, which is the truth, that the majority of sexual assault and rape and child sexual exploitation are committed predominantly by white men. Rape gangs, put that aside, right? But just sexual assault in general, predominantly committed by white men in the UK, we'll actually find, right, that this 250,000 number is actually majority white. It's majority white, and yet they're calling it a rape gang inquiry report and applying it to Muslims. Oh my goodness. I honestly can't believe they have the guts to do this. I mean, in what world? To make matters even worse, and this is, it doesn't really mean much, but it just shows the flawed sampling here. Lord Pearson is who sort of amalgamated all of this data in 2019. It's nothing even to do with the Rape Gang Inquiry report. Rupert Lowe took this report that Lord Pearson did, who is a member of the House of Lords, who, by the way, is like very sort of good pals. Close confidant of his is Tommy Robinson. He's ex-leader of UKIP, the UKIP party, right? So we know who this type of guy is. He's been extremely critical of Islam, right? And he has his own biases. So of course this number's come about, right? But they look at Rotherham, they look at Telford, they look at Oxford. The Oxford population size that they use, right? They don't use the population size of Oxford. They use the population size of Oxfordshire, which is much, much larger, which is a county compared to the Oxford city. So they use the population size of Oxfordshire, but the CSE size of Oxford. So they're making the denominator massively larger, so they come out with a higher percentage. What are the percentages? The percentage in Rotherham is about 0.07%. In Telford, it's about I think 0.058% or 0.58%, and in Oxford, it is 25%, 0.25%. Which, by the way, these three numbers are all below national average. National average is about 4%, let's say. So it's not just lower than the national average. They're using everyone. They're not just using South Asian ethnicity or Muslims or whatever. They're using everyone. And we know that sexual assault is predominantly committed in the UK by white men. So this 3,000 number that's coming from these three towns is predominantly white men, right? And as soon as you realize all of this, you'll realize that it's all one massive lie. I'm not negating the victim testimony. There is victim testimony in this report, and you read it and it's absolutely horrific. It's horrifying. It's terrible. It's not just, I condemn it. Oh, who cares? If I condemn it, what difference is that going to make? If we find these people, right, and they have been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, not in a kangaroo court, in a proper criminal court in the United Kingdom, and it's past that threshold of beyond a reasonable doubt, what would I do? I'd stone these guys to death. As Islam would say, you'd stone these guys to death. Whatever excuse they want to make, and people will come in the comments. And by the way, you can't argue about all of those stats. Completely truthful. All of that is the complete truth. But they'll say, oh, well, those that have, they're using the Quran. They're misinterpreting the Quran. And if they say so and so, oh, well, I'm allowed to do this. No. People will come out with that verse where it says, those that thy right hand possesses, right? Those that thy right hand possess. That's got nothing to, that's to do with war. That's to do with prisoners of war. It's got nothing to do with current times. So don't try and come at me with this verse. It's got nothing to do with it. And if these guys were in an Islamic country and they tried to use that excuse in an Islamic country, what do you think would happen to them? Do you think the Islamic jurist would say, well, there's nothing we can do now? No. The same punishment. He's coming up with an excuse. It doesn't mean a thing. He's misinterpreting the Quran. And in fact, that's a vile crime, a vile misinterpretation in Islam. So he won't just be held accountable for his actions in this life, but we believe as Muslims he'll be held accountable for his actions in the hereafter. So, yes, it needs to be condemned, but it needs to be more than condemned. Let's do capital punishment, guys. Let's do no problem with me. No problem with me or any of the Muslims. No problem. Let's get rid of them. No use. But you can't be throwing around this fake number and think you'll get away with it. Absolutely not. It's a fake number. And also the victims in these three areas, these three towns or cities, Oxford's a city, but the town of Telford and Rotherham, these cases and the ones that are declared victims, they haven't actually gone to court. This hasn't gone to court and they've actually been found, or should I say the suspect has been found guilty. So I'm not trying to minimize what these victims have to say, but a lot of these right wing will say, oh, the women aren't telling the truth. We're going to get to Andrew Tate in a moment, but they'll say, oh, the women aren't telling the truth. Not even Andrew Tate. They don't even like Andrew Tate, but Russell Brand and Julian Assange and whoever else has these accusations. And they'll say, oh, women are lying. But we believe the women in this situation, circumstance, or the children. You know, children can lie too, right? But even if you take the numbers as they are, it's absolutely it's riddled with error, riddled with falsehood, and they know what they're doing. The right wing are going to eat up the slop because this is the problem. They come out with this argument. Oh, the children are obsessed with their phones and they can't get off their phones. Oh, it's the damn phone, as you know, a lot of the Gen Z will know. The boomers are equally as obsessed with their phone. They're believing all this rubbish. They're believing it at face value. Do you think any of these people have actually read the 219-page document? How many do you think? Probably less than 1%. And this is the problem. And even the ones that read it, they're not going to have a look at the footnotes. You know, this is not an official report. It has no legal backing, no government backing. It's like me doing an essay in university, handing it to my lecturer, and then before getting my grade back, just being like, look, this is the full thing and it's fantastic and there's no errors in it and it's first class. No. Bring it to someone, an independent party who'll do some oversight, and they'll tell you, what is this number, this 250,000 number? How have you got it? It's a joke. But we could speak about it all day. They're not going to like what I have to say, but it's the truth. You have to contend with the truth here, okay? Your report is completely baseless, fabricated, and it's riddled with error. It's riddled with falsehood, whether intentional or not, I don't know. Okay? I don't know. But the reality here is that don't just trust things at face value. Don't, okay?